Thank you, Brad.
I'll eat away from the table. Thank you, Brad. Shout out to Brad. She's a real one.
Oh, it's pink. Ooh.
What even flavor is pink?
Flavor cherry. I call cherry.
Hey guys, what's up? We're eating popsicles. Oh, that hurt.
Mine's a different color.
You're different.
Would you rather have
Special.
orange?
Unique, if you will.
No.
Good, because I wasn't gonna get it.
It feels like styrofoam on my teeth.
Don't let me see that you're eating.
You haven't had these
okay?
popsicles before? Do you usually bite ice cream?
Who
Weak.
bites ice cream?
You would go first in natural selection.
You bite ice
I'm
cream?
okay with
Or
that.
have
That's
ice
not
cream.
okay.
If they were
What's
like
wrong with
bars,
biting
I
ice
guess
cream?
everyone bites ice cream.
Yeah, well, I mean,
No
like,
one bites. That's
if it's
disgusting.
not if it's
Bars,
not
you do.
raw ice cream, yeah.
No.
What is raw ice cream?
Oh, like just like straight ice cream, but
Like
like
in
if it's
the
an ice cream
pint?
sandwich, yeah, I'll bite into that, but I'm not
Well,
gonna bite
yeah.
through the ice cream, you know? Like I'll bite and then tear it off.
But you're not biting the ice cream.
No,
She bites ice cream. Just like
Y'all don't floss.
I'm
do
still
you?
not as bad as.
I
Guilty
have
as
braces. I floss.
Hi, welcome guys. Welcome here.
Hey guys.
Thanks for
I've
joining
said
us.
welcome like 3 times,
See you
but
podcast.
A little
just to make you
preoccupied.
even more welcome. We love you guys.
Yes.
If
Oh,
you
I
bite
thought
ice
the box
cream,
was in front of
if
you.
you bite ice cream,
I
I
do
can't be
not-
friends with you. I can't be friends with you.
I don't endorse this statement because I'm actually writing a paper on right now on why shouldn't discriminate and treat each other differently because of natural disposition. So, you know, if I have to whip it out like in 2 weeks, I will.
Are you
Okay.
really?
But
Bring
I
it
mean,
up.
that's what my personal narrative is about.
Oh, period.
Nice.
Anyways, brief intermission while we perform a mukbang.
It's not really an intermission. I'm gonna get started.
I'm not gonna be able to finish this by the time you guys are done.
Bite it.
I can't.
Just bite it with
Why
your
not?
molars.
What?
Why not?
It hurts.
Bite it with your molars then.
It hurts.
That doesn't hurt as bad.
Pick up a pack of
It still hurts. I know. I need to.
It is, it's
I've had to
cold,
adapt.
So it'll be like the cold will be on it right after it hurts. You'll be like, oh, look, there's cold on it.
Does that help?
I mean, it pulls it down, and it's cold. I'm like cold sensitive, so I can't have anything cold on my teeth. But okay,
Spit it
hey,
up,
what's up,
spit it
guys? Normally we would chill the next Cafe Youth here, but we don't actually know when that is. We're thinking, what's the week before?
Probably the 18th. Let's be honest here.
What's the week before the 28th? Is that the 20? No, we're not doing. The 28th is not a Sabbath.
28th
It's,
is like a Wednesday.
I'm-
Pull up the
So-
calendar. Pull up the calendar.
Okay, you pull up the calendar. I've got the Bible.
Wow.
Before the 25th, it would be the 18th. I need to see when
It's before the 25th. When is the Zigos thing for high school?
this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But what?
No, we can't do it the 25th.
Yeah, we can't do the 25th.
Okay, so it'll be the 18th.
Let's do 9/11.
I'm so sorry for people who hate eating noises.
9/11, so we got to get ready in like 1.5 weeks.
Not 9/11.
Are we gonna do like a patriotic thing?
Have a moment of silence.
Mr. Siri, did you see the thing with Enrique whistling the Pledge of Allegiance?
No.
No, okay, never mind. Yeah, okay,
Topic
cool.
Today.
So our topic today, like, I thought it was cool while we were out camping in like literal hell. I thought
What
we
was
started
wrong with
talking.
What?
It
High
was
school
like
challenge. It was like 100
120
degrees
and super
constant.
humid.
Where did you guys go?
It's called Petit Jean State Park.
Gross.
It was a
I
nice
was.
place. It was just really
It was
hot.
nice, but it was so hot.
It
But
gets really hot, yeah.
yeah. So, but I was like, but we were talking about stuff, and we brought up Noah, and I was like, Noah's story is really cool. We should talk about that. And so now we're talking about it, not to rip off Good Mythical Morning and everything, but let's talk about that. I'm sorry.
Wait. No, because Good Mythical Morning had like a chokehold on every kid in like 6th grade.
I had
I
a
feel
chokehold
like
on every kid in
sixth-
6th grade.
Through
Yeah.
at least high school.
Um,
Because we watched it in high school.
good times. I never watched it that much, but it had like a real chokehold
Yeah,
on
yeah,
people.
yeah. What?
Shout out to those songs too. They were
Focus.
Oh, we're
I'm
focused.
sorry.
hilarious,
I'm-
but
Wait, before we continue, what do you get from a pampered cow?
chocolate milk.
Spoiled milk.
But.
Knee slapper.
Okay, anyways.
Absolute knee slapper.
Okay, that's read mine, but it's not good, so I'm not gonna read it.
Where are we putting these?
In a
you're
cup.
Okay, let's actually
cool.
start. Let's
Okay.
actually start.
He's like, oh!
My teeth. Cool. So, Genesis chapter 6 is where we're starting.
Oh, we're supposed to pull it up?
I mean, you can, but I was just going to say for
Okay.
context. So mine is titled The Wickedness and Judgment of Man. So what stood out to me? What stood out to you guys in this section?
The what?
Wickedness and Judgment of Man.
Mm.
So this was basically the one where it's like God looked and people were going crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, why did I make man? And he's like, I kind of regret that. And it literally actually says that too.
Yeah,
It says,
So that.
like, and the
Verse
Lord
7.
was, verse 6, and it says, and the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. That's pretty heavy.
Ooh.
That's like, man, like you think, oh, it's so bad now, but like, I mean, this was a point where like he's like, I don't want these people around.
Yeah, it says that there's like only evil in their hearts. like,
Yeah, it
whatever
was
you
evil
look.
continually. So it's not like people did bad stuff all the time, but it was only evil. It wasn't. They didn't even say, "Let me go to church just to appease my mom" or something, or it's like, oh, I can't make that joke. But like. Well, they didn't go to church like the mafia members because whatever mama says goes, but like
Yikes.
they were just the mafia but without the love for mama. And like they had oh man, they were messed up. And then
Yeah.
I actually heard it today in, I think it was religion. Yeah, it was religion. There actually is this theory. So it says in here that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, right? And there's a theory that really doesn't have any basis, but I think it's still cool for discussion, that when it refers to the sons of God, it's referring to the descendants of Seth, or the kid of Adam and Eve after Cain and Abel. And the daughters of man are Cain's descendants, because, Cain
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of left.
I mean, it could be.
So any thoughts about that?
It's interesting because like God was ready to like give up. He was
I would
over
say
it.
give up, but
No, he was over it. He was like, this ain't working out. Ooh, might have to like get rid of him. And then he like saw Noah.
it's like, hey Noah, what's up?
I'm kind of like, curious though. Like it says that whenever it says that he like saw Noah and his family, like this is jumping ahead a little bit, but he said he saw like he saw Noah, and Noah was a blameless man. He was righteous and faithful among God. But then, like, God also, like, spared his family. So I wonder if, like, his sons were also evil all the time. Because it only really talks about Noah being the most righteous. And he just, like, brought his sons along so he could, like, repopulate the earth.
So does that mean
Wonder why
like
he brought them along.
Noah and his family were the only like good people left on like the earth, like
Yeah.
the whole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, it doesn't, like, actually, like, specify. Like, were his kids kind of, like...
Yeah, well, and this could be a thing of like a Job situation, because remember, like, it doesn't explicitly say in the book of Job that Job's kids were good kids and they were walked in the light of the Lord, blah blah blah. But it just said Job prayed for them all the time and made sacrifices and is like, just in case my kids have sinned, here's this. And it could be the same situation, because the father, especially in this like early society, the father was responsible for like the
family.
entire family. So that wasn't just like immediate family and wife, or like kids and wife, but that was like father, wife, kids, and anybody else who fell under any other umbrella.
Yeah.
I said father is responsible for father. No,
Father,
but
wife,
whatever.
kids.
Um,
They're like, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting, because then it doesn't really say much else about his kids. It does kind of in chapter 9, but that's jumping way ahead. So then we have Noah pleases God as the next section, which is 9 through 12 for me, which is kind of what we were talking about. And it's weird because it starts off and it says, this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. So that would mean to say that Noah and everybody he's come from have been like good Christians. And I would assume his generations would also mean his kids.
That makes sense.
I'm not for sure. I can't say it as fact, but that sounds pretty close.
Mine has, maybe it's like the different translation. Mine has
Noah had 3 sons, and it names the sons.
Yeah, mine has like righteous man blameless among the people of his time.
Yeah.
So like people of
So it
And he
could
walked
just be-
faithfully with God.
Yeah, and I think that that phrasing is really like interesting, because that's the same thing that like Enoch, you know, who God was like, "Hey, I really like talking to you. Come on up," you know, and he just kind of picked him up and left. And that's the same thing, because everybody, you know, everybody knows Enoch is the one who walked with God,
Yeah.
you know, and here we see Noah walking with God. So that's really interesting, because that almost raises a question of purpose for me, right? Like, because clearly God had a purpose for Noah, which was to, you know, basically say, okay, look, I'm not completely done. I'll give you another chance. Give you, the human race, another chance. But we're going to basically start over.
yeah.
Which, you know, and it's the same phrasing. And so I just, you know, I don't know, that raises a question of purpose for Enoch, for me at least. You know, was Enoch there just to set an example or whatever? Or like,
Maybe wait, is Enoch before or after Noah?
I'm wanting to say it was before.
I think it was before. Not Manasseh. What was Enoch's dad?
Was it the
or, like-
oldest guy?
Methuselah?
Methuselah, that's it. I feel like he was before, right?
Well, if my Bible upload, I will look.
But then again, like, what? How did humanity get to that point?
I don't know. Well,
How did they be doing that?
Wouldn't it be after
what?
Enoch?
No, he was before, because that's when everybody was living a stupid long time. And it does also. That's also
That's true,
something
yeah,
I
yeah.
really found interesting about the first part is. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. That's like, for me, like how are you gonna like just throw? Oh yeah, so you know, just reading it from a story aspect, it's like, oh yeah, and there was these giants, and then there's like almost sounding like hybrid kids,
Yeah.
and then they're just like, and they were there, and like they were super strong and stuff, but they were there.
It also says that, like, it's interesting because, like, in this, God, like, saw them, like, sinning and being evil and everything, and then he was like, okay, well, now we're shortening your lifespan. They said, like, he said, their days will be 120 years now. Like, my spirit is not contented with
Which is-
humans forever. and
Which
so
is
they're mortal.
really interesting, I think, because like obviously it was stupid long, and he shortened it a ton, right? But I mean, how many people do you see living to be 120 now? I think the oldest person like recorded like in modern history was like 115 or something like that. Like
I don't know.
like
Also,
did he
like,
just
what?
place like? I almost wonder if he's not like, okay, you're gonna live to be 120 and die, like a set thing, but it's like you're not living past 120.
Maybe. I also, like, why was that, like, why was that his, like, punishment for them? Like, why did he see, like, oh, you're evil? Well, you don't get to, like,
Yeah.
I guess
So you don't get to
Death-
sin as long?
I don't know. I guess, like, death was the ultimate punishment back then. Because, like, that was, like, the consequence for Adam and Eve. And then, like, I don't know. I don't really know what God thinks. I don't know
I
what's
mean,
going
no one
on in
does.
his head.
So
Yeah, well, and I had a thought. What was it? Oh, well, it's like, to me, I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, you know, when I hear somebody now, they have a lifetime of evil. I was like, oh my goodness, that's like 80 to 100 years of, you know, nonstop, like, you know, you look at someone like Hitler, and obviously he didn't live to be like 100 or whatever, but like, if that's the destruction he wrought within like 10 years, imagine what people could do in 600 or like almost 1,000 years.
yeah.
That's true. But even then, I feel like it's interesting that they only had evil, like, all the time. Because I feel like Hitler, he was undoubtedly evil. But, like, his evil, like, stemmed from something.
Yeah.
Like, it stemmed from a good intention somewhat. Like,
I
I don't know about the
perceived good
Jews.
in-
Yeah,
yeah.
like he was, like, he was spurred on because of, like, the economic crisis that happened after World War I to the Germans. And he was like, this is my Germany.
He
I'm
also
going to make
had-
it great again.
Yeah, he also had
But-
predisposition against them and stuff.
Yeah. So, like, I guess he could have, like, it started from somewhere, but, like, where
Yeah.
did their evil start
Well,
from? Like,
I
where is it
think-
coming from?
I think that's just, I think honestly it's a pursuit of pleasure. You know, just honestly speaking, because, you know, it talks about the one change in humanity it talks about is the sons of God and the daughters of man, right, coming together. And so to me that reads a lot of, you know, guys saw a girl and, like, you know, thought she was hot. It seems like lust played a huge piece in this, just because of the fact, and I could be getting this completely wrong, But then again, this is like a first reading, essentially, of it. But, you know, I find it interesting that they bring up the fact of women and men coming together, and that's where evil, you know, that was one of the big things. And, you know, like, I don't know. And I think of a lot of the evil that's committed now, and nowadays, and a lot of it's for power, and a lot of it's for selfish reasons, right? Well, and I mean, that was the whole origin of sin, was for selfish reasons, to give a conclusion to last week.
Right.
But it was very selfish because Lucifer thought he should be above God, you know. It's not. But I don't know.
This like sons of man and sons of God and daughters of man thing is kind of interesting, because it's like in the first verses is talking about how the daughters are like born to the humans who are like on the earth, but the sons of God are like, it's like almost talking about the sons of God as though they're like not human, like they're not human, because it's like the sons of God saw that the daughters of the humans were beautiful and they married.
Oh, does
any
yours
of them that
say
they chose.
human?
Mine says human, and then like
Well-
later it's talking about how the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and afterwards when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans, they were and had children by them. They were the heroes of old and the men of renown.
It said like Nephilim or whatever, right? Isn't that a classification of angel?
I don't.
I think
exactly
so.
know.
Because there's the
Yeah,
seraphims.
yeah.
There's the seraphims, the cherubims.
I think it's one of the lower down ones.
I don't know which like tier it is or whatever, but I'm just thinking that sounds. And when it said, you know, sons of God, my first thought was, you know, because then I was thinking, you know, if it's not humans, my first thought is angels, right? And I'm thinking, what is a righteous angel doing on a sinful earth? You know, but then you think about it, and technically there was 1/3 of the angels.
So it was one of the fallen angels?
Maybe, but then it's
I'm not
talking-
saying that's what it is, but that sounds plausible. To me.
It's
Do you
talking
think
about-
one of the fallen angels could have fallen in love with a human and like had a kid?
Probably, but it's talking about the Nephilim as though they're like still in God's good graces. They're like, it's talking about how like, it seems like to me like in this version that like, and we should take it with like a grain of salt, because like,
Yeah, I feel like we
translations
should
are
put
never-
out this disclaimer out there too. This is basically just our first reaction to this, because don't
is
take
our
our
opinion.
word as
This
Bible
is our
scholars.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Also-
our interpretation,
Yeah. Also, like translations are always iffy, no matter what, especially when it's been translated so many times.
especially the Book
but-
of Genesis.
Yeah, and so like it's like it seems to me like it's talking about how like the humans are like increasing, like humans from Adam and Eve are increasing, and then the angels, the Nephilim, sons of God or something, maybe they're like from heaven. I don't know. Maybe they're like the aliens who like didn't fall. Like they could have been that, and then they're
Came
seeing
over in their spaceships.
yeah, they're saying that the humans are like super beautiful, and so they start to marry them. They
But
start
that
to
would
marry
make
them.
sense though,
Yeah.
because remember, you know, humans were made in the image of God.
Yeah.
You know, and God is literally a perfect being. And I remember today, I don't remember what the context was or who it was, but somebody said, like, something along the lines of like, was Eve hot? And I was like,
Probably.
I would assume so. She's literally the perfect woman.
Probably be hot.
You know,
Adam's
so
really
then,
hot too.
you know, just thinking about that, Adam and Eve were created perfect. So, you know, like, you know, you look and you see an attractive woman. Well, that's like by our earthly warped human standards. Imagine what it was actually supposed to be like.
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
true, because if like Lucifer was beautiful, why wouldn't humans be?
Yeah.
Anyways, continuing with the thought, then it's like God is talking about how like my spirit is not contented with humans forever because they're mortal, and their days will be 120 years. So like the sons of God, it seems like they aren't mortal, and if they're marrying like the sons of or the daughters of man, then they're like creating children who are like no longer perfect, and therefore they're mortal, and so their days will be 120 years because they're mortal and they'll die. And so like
Or
it's
maybe
talking
it's saying
about
like a happy medium.
maybe that could be it too. And I don't know. And so like the sons of God are the sons of God and the daughters of humans. They have children, and then those children are like hybrids, like Hercules or something, like they're demigods or something. Well,
That would be crazy.
I think of like
essentially like
Percy
demigods.
Jackson.
I don't know, maybe. Well, they're not like gods. This is like an analogy, like
Yeah, well,
nobody is a god, and but
Well,
like
depending on where you read, everybody is. When just kidding, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Please.
So please,
Watch your
forgiveness.
mouth.
My bad.
Yeah,
But-
that's kind of interesting. Never thought about that
Yeah,
before.
I think I don't know. That part is just that's so fascinating to me. And then I went back in Genesis 3, where they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and it never says anything about I mean, obviously God and man couldn't commune together, but it never says anything about angels and men.
Yeah.
And it even says that there was a cherubim or something that was placed at the gate of the Garden of Eden, and a sword which guards every which way.
Yeah.
Which also sounds really cool, but
Do you
it's
ever
a
think?
sidetrack.
Do you ever think people like try to get back into the Garden of Eden, or do you like? Because if they
I
were
don't
able
know.
to still like converse with the angels, they could like probably see the angel that was there. So do you think they try to get back in?
I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because there's the Tower of Babel,
Yeah.
and like that was literally humans trying to build a tower to heaven.
Yeah.
And and part of me wonders how symbolic that was. Actually, that's a conversation for another time. But okay, anyway, sorry. Maybe we'll do it next time.
Yeah, we'll do it next
we'll
time.
do
Probably
we'll do
next
some
time.
more interesting Genesis stuff next time.
Also, though, like whenever God's talking about how like he's angry at the humans, and like he wants to like get rid of them, he's like in verse 7, he's like, "I'll wipe from the face of the earth the human race I've created, and with them the animals and the birds and the creatures that move along the ground.
Yeah.
For I regret that I have made them." What did the animals do?
That's
Did the animals do something wrong?
I don't know. Well, I just, everybody hears, like sin tainted and whatnot and stuff like that. Like when sin came into the world, like it was everything, plants and animals and stuff. Well, I mean, that's at least what you hear.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious about this.
I don't know. So then, do like animals sin?
I don't know. But, like if you think about it, like why were tigers made with, like they're carnivore, and like carnivorous animals and stuff. Like, not necessarily why were they made, but, like
I mean,
they
I
weren't
see-
necessarily, they weren't made to be carnivores,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
And so, I mean, even at the end of the day, even if they meant to sin or not, that is, not God's original intention on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and like I said, disclaimer, we're not Bible scholars, and this is
Mm-hmm.
just some teenager's interpretation, but, I don't...
but then does
But I
that
don't
mean
think-
that?
Sorry.
You can go first.
I don't think that animals have that level of comprehension whether they're sinning or not. Like I don't think they
Yeah.
know that they're
That's-
sinning. They're just trying to survive.
Probably
That's
not.
what I'm saying.
That,
like,
like, it
even
kinda
if they didn't,
poses-
they still deviated and stuff.
Yeah, it
but-
kind of poses the question though, because like animals, like if they don't have the cognitive ability to like actively sin, then it poses the question: does the effect that sin has on different beings of the earth, does that still count towards like sin? Like, does the effect that sin, because sin is like infected the world, does the effect that it has on you, whether you like want it to or not, does that still hold you responsible for it? Like,
Part of me wants to say yes, just for the fact that, it says in the Bible and stuff, we're all born sinners. Are we sinning as we come out the womb? Is crying a sin? Like, like...
but sin can like infect inside the womb too. Like, not
Yeah.
every.
Well, I mean, like, I think of substances when you say that and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like you said in verse 7, so the Lord said, "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I have regretted that I have made them." So do you think it was because the humans messed up that the animals just kind of like followed suit?
I don't know.
Like, because
I
the
don't
humans sinned, he was like, "Oh, so all of my creation is just like trash now.
Well,
It's just
and if I mean, when you think about sin for what it really is, which is selfishness, if sin creeps into the world, that means selfishness creeps into the world,
Yeah.
right? Because, well, at least for me, I antiquate sin with selfishness. And so, for me, a lot of the selfishness, whether it, be driven from, pleasure-seeking motives or anything or whatever, but, a survival instinct, even though it is an instinct, it is inherently kind of selfish. It's, I live, it's focusing, making sure I live, right? And so then that put in the animals and stuff, I don't know, because I just think
like,
that
that's
would...
what the animal kingdom is.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, because like the biggest thing for me is carnivorous animals. You know, like I don't like when, you know, that I don't think that's what God's intended for them to do.
Could have been a thing that there would have been too many animals on the earth.
Yeah, well
Like,
then
if
there's
they
also
just killed the humans. Like if just the humans were wiped out. Like think about all like the domestic animals that rely on humans to take care of them.
yeah.
That would
But
be like it'd be like a mercy thing, or like the wild animals would they have like
But then
gone
again,
out-
like,
gone out of hand?
were animals like always domesticated, or did it
Well,
take humans to domesticate them?
That also raises another question. Is at the end of the day, we don't know how advanced these people were.
Yeah.
Because like, and I know that's like a relatively common like argument or like point brought up, but you know, like there's even, you know, people theorize and stuff that they made the dinosaurs, however much evidence there is to back that up. That is
Oh, like genetic modification.
yeah, that is a well-known theory
Yeah.
of, you know, pre-Bible times and an explanation for the dinosaurs. You know, it really does raise the question of how advanced were these people, and I think that also has to play something of like, you know, how much of a threat were they really posing? You know, like if we think of cavemen, you know, how much of a threat are cavemen posing, you know, to one another and the world at large? Like at the end of the day, I mean, they can stab each other and stuff, but like,
then like wait, like it kind of confuses me though, because like if a like Adam and Eve were created in God's image, which means they were like beautiful, but they were also like smart. Like they were like smart. And so thinking about that, that means like the generations that came after them, they like obtained that knowledge. Like they have that knowledge. So then like what is a caveman? Like they're obviously not going to be stupid. Well, hopefully not, because like they have like the knowledge passed down through generations.
well, I mean, they're just going to be like one step above animals in my mind. You know?
Yeah. So then like
Were there cavemen?
yeah, were there cavemen? I don't know. There like there's like
Yeah,
some kind of
That's
evidence
just like
here about
homeless
from-
people now. Like if you would think about it, like
Well, I mean,
We have homeless people.
That's a stretch to call, you know, well, because I think the biggest
Well-
thing we're talking about in cavemen and then is intelligence.
I don't know, like some
And so I
kind of-
wouldn't call.
I thought cavemen
Ex-
came from like the idea of you know, like
Evolution.
evolving.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I
There's
think-
Yeah.
probably some evidence somewhere about like the study of cavemen, but like I haven't read it.
Well, and I
there's,
wonder
like,
too.
writing on walls in caves. but
Yeah,
that
and I
doesn't
wonder
necessarily mean-
too what this just kind of popped into my mind is, you know, kind of the culture that they had then, because obviously we know it was horrible, but like some of the specifics, like, you know, do you think there was like children that they saw and were like, you're ugly, and just like tossed them out, like to live on their own or something, or like they got to a certain age and is like, oh, you can't do this, or like you look a certain way, get out of my house, and like, you know, children leaving with like little to no education or whatever.
Out.
I mean, but I mean,
Oh,
like,
then again, like when did like the concept of like incest and like inbredness show up in the world? Because like
I don't know.
Noah?
repopulate the earth, like
Post Noah.
do you think post
Post
Noah?
Noah?
Because then like what
Well, because
stopped
he
it
had-
then? Like what stopped
But he
that
had
from happening?
to.
Well,
like-
that wasn't,
What stopped that from happening pre Noah? Because like they had to like
and
with each other like anyways.
I don't know, but like, that's, I don't know. It's really
Maybe it
like
came over
difficult to, I think it's really difficult to talk about because we're kind of placing ourselves, humans as we know them, on Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
if you
probably
think
true.
about it, so like everybody came from Adam and Eve, and if humans were never meant to die, then everybody was supposed to know that they were the patriarchs and patriarch and matriarch of the human society, right? So I would think that their genetics and stuff would be perfect, right? So
Yeah.
in like, you know, when they would what we now consider inbreeding, that's not necessarily a problem because, you know, their genetics aren't, you know, they're not, you're not getting
That's true.
genetic
It might
disorders
have-
and stuff,
yeah,
even
it
though
might
you
have-
might get different pieces of genetic information from each parent, creating a bit of diversity. And I bet, it would eventually diversify because, you know, there's a, you know, just in the Bible, the emphasis placed on like individual relationship and, you know, God made you unique and whatnot. But I don't think like then coming from Adam and Eve, the perfect people, like literally made perfect. I mean, not acting perfect, but the perfectly built people, I should say. Like, it's hard to imagine that God would build these people perfect, but not reproduce without having kids with.
That's true, because like
funky
the
deformities.
Well-
inbreedness comes from like the carrying like the traits, right?
Yeah, and then,
like
like,
it's too
recessive.
similar. like
Yeah,
recessive traits too
stuff like
similar
that, yeah.
to genes, whatever.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like you can't expect two like perfect people like Adam and Eve to like have perfect kids because look at Cain and Abel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But then
even
that
just
was like a
talking like
mind
physically, yeah.
Huh.
Because I mean,
When
Yeah.
when do you think like the genes or like the where do you think like the first like recessive gene mutation came from? Like when along the lines?
I don't know. I think
you
that's
think there are
that's
people-
purely
Speculation.
speculation.
Because there's not really that much like records. There's not very many records of like life before the flood in the Bible, and it's not like really anywhere you can
Yeah.
infer from.
I'll just go to the library and look at the ancestry book.
Yeah. It wasn't washed away in the flood. They kept all those books on the ark.
Yeah. Well, oh, speaking of arc, because we've already gone 30 minutes in the
Mhm,
first
mhm.
like 8 verses, but speaking of the
Sounds
arc,
like your Sabbath school class.
but speaking of the arc, I think this also speaks to something of the technology held by the people of Noah's time. Is it says that it coats it in pitch,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which pitch I think of like roads, right? Isn't that
Like
what pitch
tar.
is?
Yeah,
Tar,
tar.
yeah, that type. So I mean, it wasn't that, which is really interesting because obviously we don't know how thick the coating was, but everybody just imagined it as he got some wood and nailed it together, and
Well, I mean, it did have to be waterproof.
yeah, and so, but I mean, just for them to have some water insulation, or
It says coat it
What
with
I'm talking
pitch inside and out.
Yeah.
So a layer
So it
on
was
both
like-
inside and out. And this boat is like huge.
massive.
So it says
mean, it kinda has to
300
be.
cubits long, 50
Okay.
cubits wide, and 30 cubits high.
how big is a cubit?
It's like
Yes, sir.
Cubit to feet.
it says like 450 feet
15.
long, 75 feet
650.
wide, and 45 feet high.
Distance from fingers to elbow at an estimated at 18 inches for a biblical cubit. Wow, that means
450
fingers
feet
to elbow. This was 18 inches. Well, isn't this close to 18 inches now?
Yeah.
long. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what they're.
So then I wonder if if biblical cubits were huge.
You have to
Because
be
you're
more
thinking like
taller.
10 feet
'Cause they were
people,
bigger. Yeah,
and you'd have that
yeah.
reflected in wingspan. It would be weird to see somebody walk around with like, what, 2.5 feet arms on a 10-foot person. That
Yeah.
looks weird.
That's true. Because
It's
your
proportional.
wingspan.
Yeah,
So
so
it
like
could be-
if it's always been elbow to fingertip, then think about, their
Hmm.
arms might be like 3 feet long. Like,
So is it possible the ark is bigger than we thought?
yeah, like
Well,
I
they
would im-
found the ark, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
That was the
It's
ark.
not found.
That'd
No.
be too easy.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
Saying like if we found the ark, that would prove the
Yeah.
story is true.
and then that would take away free
They-
will.
No, but
That's
didn't they find the
speculation.
ark?
I think that was
They
the Ark of the
didn't.
Covenant. If
No, no, no,
anything,
no,
it's
no.
taken out.
Did
They
you not
connected
hear
Covenant
about that?
with
I think
No,
there's
they-
theories
And it
popping up.
matches the biblical like lengths and everything.
Okay,
I don't
but
think
which
they did.
cubits? That's what we're talking
I don't
about
know.
too. So,
I don't
because
know
if it
either.
matches, 18 inches,
I don't remember.
It's
Then
on
we
like
could be-
some mountain in like Turkey or something.
Well, and the cubit varied because it was always based off of the kings.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, and I
that's
bet with
true.
Noah,
The king was like, oh, this is the new cubit. So depending on.
well, and I bet with
Judas-
Noah too, it was like his cubit. So
Probably.
Noah could have like really, really long arms or something.
Right, it's
But
possible.
we just not know, and he has a huge cubit. But I mean, I can't imagine it being, because I mean, 30 cubits, which is like, that's like 45 feet. And he has to fit two of every animal and 14 of every clean and unclean animal, which is something else I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Everybody always says 7, and I was always like 7. I was like, that's weird because that's
There's
an odd
7
number.
clean.
They can't.
7 of the clean.
There's 7 clean, 2 of the
7
unclean.
pairs.
Seven,
Yeah,
7
yeah.
pairs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah. And that's
Why-
something I found interesting too, is that they already distinguished between clean and unclean before the law.
Yeah.
So did
Before-
people?
before the-
So was it just like a common knowledge of what was clean and what was unclean?
Oh, who,
Back then,
That's
was
why
it just
would've been
like?
passed down, right? That's how.
Who be told them?
education-
Well, I know-
Did,
yeah.
So
somebody
did God
told
tell Adam and Eve, this is unclean, this is clean, and then they just told their kids, and
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, that would make sense.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know of any other explanation unless he gave Noah the rundown of what's clean and unclean right then and there, and they didn't write it down.
Yeah, but I feel like they would because they would have to like survive on the clean stuff.
Yeah.
Or like.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
That is interesting because then like God would have known like exactly how sin affected every single thing, which like is possible as God, but
I wonder if there was like certain things that, like, clean in like a sin sense. I mean, obviously there's no proof, and that's just speculation and whatnot. But you look at clean and unclean. Like, I wonder if there's like a level or degree of like sin has got these animals or whatever. Because, you know, he's talking about wiping
Oh.
the earth clean from sin.
Mm.
So what defines a clean animal? Well, if we're going by that metric of clean from sin, but that's purely speculation and just like, you know, use of language stuff. And this is obviously translated 100,000 however many times.
Yeah.
This
A
is
couple, probably.
Yeah.
Just from like Hebrew, Greek into.
Hebrew, Greek, and then Latin, and then the respective language.
kind of like we're going back to the ark here. It says, "Put a door in the side of the ark and make a lower, middle, and upper deck."
So
Mhm.
3 stories.
So that it was 3 stories tall.
And how tall does it say the ark was?
45 feet high.
Was
Yeah.
that was the 30 cubits?
Yeah, mine just is
Oh.
translated.
And
just straight to
30
feet.
cubits high. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine. I mean, there's like a little thing. It says, you know,
And-
300 cubits, 50 cubits, 30 cubits.
It
Well-
also says there's 3 stories.
That's
Yeah,
what we
well,
just
that's
said.
the upper, middle, and lower deck.
We
Lower,
just
one,
we just said that.
2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Gotcha.
You with us?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm all there. Architecture.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a huge door.
I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish,
Yeah.
but I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark.
Oh, that was.
And your sons and your wives and your sons' wives with you.
Yeah. So Noah had multiple wives. I don't know that I ever thought about that, but it said
No,
your
sons and your wife. Just one.
Why?
Wife, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, but okay, never mind. Because I was about to be like, because I know that there was like people in the
Polygamy.
Bible, like I mean, obviously there's like David, who was
Yeah,
like,
Solomon.
she's hot. I'm gonna kill her husband, and
Yeah, not one of his best moments.
This is a different story for a different
well,
time.
I know, but I was just saying, like, there's obviously people in the Bible who God chose that, you know, were polygamous and stuff. And there's like Gideon and stuff who had like 70 kids total or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think something like
It
that.
was like 70
Did he?
kids. Yeah.
Gideon.
And then he even had one with a concubine and stuff. And I was
You are going to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and stored it away as food for you. Yeah. Okay. Where does it say 7?
I don't know. Maybe
That
it's
says
like
it
Elijah
later,
or something.
I think. No, it was later. It was like, what chapter are you reading from right now?
6?
It might be 7 or 8. Because then it talks about once he's getting on, I know it was 7 of every clean and unclean animal and 7 of all the birds, actually. So clean and unclean birds. But and it also said...
Oh yeah, it's in
7
the next
for-
one. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal.
Yeah, male and its mate.
doesn't it say...
One pair of
Maybe.
every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate. Also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive through the earth.
So birds were
Okay.
hunted, like, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, to think of, like... Because if that's the only thing that needed an extra population, like, head start... Like, wouldn't that mean they're, like, prime prey?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Let's talk about a plot hole. It says that he like stored away like food to eat for like him and the animals, but like some of these animals are carnivorous. So like, what are they eating? Like the animals on the ark, and then even then like the
It could be
flood.
what the extra birds were for.
Yeah, but then like the flood on the boat and like their time like on the boat lasted for like almost like
It was...
like a year. Like a year. So like how'd they not run out of food?
Wait.
And how did they keep like the carnivorous animals at bay?
Yeah, well...
Like we could say it was just like God's grace, but like
Yeah.
A year for what?
On the boat.
They were
It's
on
like-
the boat for a year?
yeah, it
Pretty
was like
much.
rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and then they were just like there until the water like went
And then the
down,
water
right?
took like 150 days to recede. Right? Or it was 150 days and then they sent out the doves or something.
So Noah was like, hold on. He was like old when he got off the boat.
Yeah.
'Cause it says
600 years
Noah
old.
was
Yeah, well,
600
he was-
years old when the floodwaters came on
And
the
it was
earth.
like 601 and a half or something like that. 601 and a half. Thank you very much.
So, did it say how long it took him to build the boat?
Well,
I thought it was
7 days. 7 days from now. Well, like, God is talking to him and, like, telling him all the instructions, and it says, like, 7 days from now.
I know, but
I'm
it
gonna do
never.
this.
Well, I mean,
Does it say a
started-
specific time?
Well, doesn't it say he started, or no? It was when the floodwaters came when he was 600.
Hold on. Oh, yeah, no. God didn't really give him that much time. If it's like 7 days, I feel like it wasn't just 7 days, cause like no.
But I mean, if we're talking about the
way.
superhuman humans, like
Oh yeah. Maybe
7
no,
days.
no. But then again, like if it was only Noah and his family working on the ark, then if they were the righteous people, that means they weren't part of the superhumans, because those are the ones who are like mixing with the daughters.
There's no way it took them 7 days to build that boat.
Yeah, there's no.
There's
That's way
no
too long.
way.
By the grace of
There's-
God, they took.
There's
seven-
no
well, I think,
way.
I think that is like something really important.
Even if
though,
they had their
because-
wives and their sons helping, there's no way.
I think
people.
like as almost like I don't like to use this explanation and stuff just because it seems like a cop out answer, but like by the
Yes,
grace of
so-
God and stuff. But I think that is, we talked about it last week kind of, but I think that is
Circular
like
reasoning.
super important to keep in the story because at the same time this is a divine thing.
So you're gonna tell me that you can say, by the grace of God, I'm gonna build a boat in 7 days, and you can go build a boat in 7 days?
I mean, this do be the Bible.
By the grace of God, Elijah led horses through mud, like
Okay,
running faster
well-
than
Through mud.
horses. And well, I mean, like it was raining, and he led King Ahab's
yeah.
horses back.
But then again, like every time, well, not every time, I guess. I don't know. I think it's just hard for a lot of people in the Book of Genesis, and especially with the story of Noah, because like any other time God did like something super remarkable in the Bible, like something like that, it like says so. It explicitly says, and God did this for them.
Well, then again,
so
it,
that
it
blah, blah,
mentions
blah.
hybrids in one verse, and then just doesn't touch them again.
Yeah, it's like really, and it might be because like whenever they were writing this part of the Bible, like it wasn't just like in the moment they were writing, but like
Yeah,
who
weren't the
wrote
first
the Book of
five?
Genesis? Wait,
Weren't the
who?
first
We
five
don't know.
books by
We don't know.
Moses? Or
We don't know who wrote the Book of Genesis.
Oh, exactly. So like maybe it was just like
Well, and I
maybe it
bet
was
a
just,
lot
like,
of
Odysseys, like
well, and a
passed
lot
down
of
by
this, a lot of like Genesis and stuff, that was like oral tradition for
Yeah.
a long time, until they developed, or maybe they had reading and writing developed, but like until they thought, hey, maybe
like
we
by
should
word
write
of
this
mouth.
down. Yeah.
So maybe just like a lot of the details got lost,
It says
but
in Genesis 6:3, it says it talks about 120 years. And this random first thing I pulled up online saying that God was saying 120 years from whenever he told Noah about it until the flood actually came.
Oh.
I thought
But
that
we
was how long
read
they
that, and that
lived.
was when the sons of God
Yeah,
and the daughters of man,
how
like
long they lived.
that's how long their children lived when they had kids.
And that's what it's talking.
That's what it
about.
was talking about. That wasn't saying
At least that's how we
long it
interpreted
built
it.
the boat. That was saying how long the kids would live.
No, I feel like that was like, I just remember it was something
so in
about
the
a cutoff.
future, he limited their lifespan, but I think, I don't know, I just quickly
I don't know,
reading
because,
over
like,
that,
in
it
any-
was saying that that's also like how much longer they had.
Maybe
to live.
because I don't know. In any other story, like whenever I was growing up in like Sabbath school, they would always talk about how like all the people were like clowning Noah. They were like, where's your flood? What's this like rain thing you're talking about? Where did it come? Where's it like blah 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 blah? But like, where
Where
does
does it say that?
Maybe it's one of those things
Oh,
where
yeah,
like
it
it like
says-
talks about like the story and then
Well,
like
it definitely
in like
wasn't
one of the
7
prophets
days
thing.
because it says, for after 7 more days I will cause.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Maybe
it
he's like
definitely
talking
wasn't
to like
7
a
days.
days. I
Does
don't
it
know,
say
this is hard to
anything in the
find.
book before? Like,
The book
like
before.
not the book before, the
Chapter
chapter
it
before,
talks
because
about
it says,
genealogy.
in the
Ooh.
600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month. So that means on February 17th is when.
Well, according, yeah.
The
According to
chapter
different
before is
calendar,
just
but-
talking about Adam to Noah, like
Yeah.
the genealogy.
The last part of 5 says,
Gosh,
after
what a
Noah
pain to
was
memorize
500
to
years
pass on to
old,
your
he
kids.
became the father of
Yeah,
Shem,
Adam,
and
you got
Japheth.
Check
We
out
have
Matthew
kids of
1.
500.
Oh my goodness. Or Luke 3.
Gosh, Bible pool.
Luke 3 was bad too.
They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moved along the grounds according to its kinds, and every bird according to its kinds, everything with wings. And pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. So Noah didn't go and find them. They came to Noah.
Yeah.
Don't you
Was-
think people, if they saw just a big long line of 2 of every animal or 7 of every animal just coming along in a line to one specific person, don't you think that they would like
I mean,
put 2 and 2 together and be like, I think something's happening if 2 or 7 of every
but if that
animal is coming.
if that was you know, and like I said, like the divine part, you know, it could have been because, like, I'm sure at some point people's self-preservation instinct would have kicked in, and wait, no, well, like their self-preservation instinct would have kicked in and was like, there's a huge boat thing, and we should go try and grab onto that, you know. Like when the flood started coming, because it said it was from the
Oh, yeah,
sky
they
and
did
the
do that,
fountains of the
right?
earth burst forth.
That's what it said.
Yeah, they're like knocking on the door.
It says the
Yeah.
They were
springs.
Well, and they went in 7 days before the flood started.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Ah.
even if suspicion could have arisen, you know, like, what are these animals doing in here? Maybe we should do something. 7 days have passed, and this loony guy just went in with 2 of every animal on the earth, and they've been sitting in a giant thing, because they didn't really have, maybe they had boats, but, you know,
Yeah,
But I
because
mean, like, it
they
was
had
a-
like water, but they didn't have any rain.
yeah, but like they sat in this giant boat for 7 days and nothing happened. Like, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, this guy, like, maybe he was onto something, but he's
This is kind of
Crazy.
besides. Okay, so in verse 19, it says, they rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heaven were covered. Didn't you see, I don't know if you saw or not, but they found, like, fish fossils and stuff on Mount Everest or whatever that, like, proves that the flood was real or
Well,
whatever.
I mean,
I don't know.
Or
proves
that, yeah.
proves is
that
a
used to be
very
underwater.
strong-
It was underwater, yeah.
So
well, you know, I feel
some
like
people argue that it was then just pushed up, you know, so it was
yeah,
down
the
and got pushed
tectonic
up.
plate movement.
They also I heard somebody say like this is one of the people who were trying to disprove the flood theory. Like in the canyon, the Grand Canyon, there are like fossils in the canyon, but it's like they're all like on separate levels. Like there's no like, cause like they would have thought like if like animals are drowning, they would have thought that the animals are trying to like swim up to like get to the top, so there'd be like overlapping like fossils who like died like in the same level because they're trying to like be like at the top, but like there's no like level of fossils that overlaps. It's just all in separate layers. So that was interesting. I don't really know what it means, but that's what they were saying.
Well, I think that goes for a lot of this because we are at 47 minutes. So we should probably try to wrap this up. I think in
Can we talk about it
conclusion,
next time?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we can.
Let's continue this next time.
I'm not
can
gonna
get-
be here, but sorry.
But
The L was for love. 'Cause we love you.
sure,
Oh, thanks, guys. I'm gonna start crying.
something like that.
Thanks.
But
I love you.
yeah, thank you for watching Cafe Youth. As of right now,
That's not
it is. No,
Youth podcast.
I know, but I was saying
He's
that
saying Cafe Youth.
Cafe Youth is
Oh.
as of right now.
Oh, sorry. I didn't let you
It
finish.
is as of right now the 18th. That's
Of
subject to
September.
change. To stay posted on our Instagram. What is it? c.af.youth. All one word.
This-
Yeah.
Stay posted there. We'll put something out like the week of or something. And then,
The week of.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
and we'll be back
Something
in.
out.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Like I say, me and Faith. This is
Yeah.
actually Anna's last time on the podcast for the foreseeable
Yay.
future.
So if you want to be on Youth Podcast, we have an application.
We don't have an application.
We don't.
We do
Come
have an
talk
application.
to either me, Michael, or Mr. Siri if you are interested in being on the podcast.
Yeah, and we'll
Let us know.
Put you under a scrutinous interviewing
We're
process.
gonna bring Gianni in.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
we're planning on
Gianni.
bringing Gianni.
He's gonna be our guest next
He'll
time for
be
sure.
our guest and
Be
Yeah.
our guest.
Yeah,
Be our guest. Put our service to the test.
yeah,
That's it.
that's all.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Yeah.
for joining. Okay.
I hope you have a good night.